Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unite Pieces channel. Today, we will recapping an action movie from the year 2022, titled Lesson Plan. Lesson Plan tells the story of a former police officer named Damian. Damien gets a secret mission to avenge the death of his best friend Szymon. Initially Szymon contacted Damien to investigate a drug case at the school where he taught, but due to past failures, Damien refused Szymon's offer, and since then Damien's regret. So, make sure you watch this video till the end, for a better experience. The movie begins with a man named Damian. Damien is a special agent assigned as a spy into the drug trade. Everything goes smoothly at first. Damien carries out his mission perfectly. However, one day suddenly Damien's identity is leaked, and his cover is blown, resulting in a bitter fight between Damien and the drug kingpin. Although Damien won the fight, on the other hand he could not protect his wife, who was simultaneously killed by the kingpin's henchmen. Because of his wife's death, Damien became a desperate man and lost his direction in life. He regretted the departure of his wife who had to die because of his failure to maintain his identity. One day Damien was contacted by his friend named Szymon McCowie, who worked as a history teacher in one of the schools known for its bad reputation. The school was in a chaotic period because most of the students had been addicted to drugs. Szymon, as a good teacher, could not remain silent after finding out that his students were taking drugs, so he aimed to invite Damien to accompany him to investigate this case, and find out who the person who had been distributing drugs in the school area. However, Damien refused because he was still in the shadow of his wife's death. Hearing that, Szymon finally decided to move on his own. The next day, Damien saw the news that Szymon was found dead while making drugs in one of the school's warehouses. Hearing the news, Damien rushed to Szymon's house, because he knew very well that Szymon could not be part of a drug kingpin. Arriving at Szymon's house, the place has become a crime scene. Szymon's wife and child know that Szymon has been slandered by a drug syndicate, but on the one hand they can't do anything because they have no evidence. Seeing that, Damien decided to avenge his friend's death, and it didn't take long. Damien managed to disguise himself as one of the candidates who was looking for a job as a teacher, and he applied for a job at the school where Szymon teaches. When he got there, he was welcomed and immediately accepted by the principal, because they were having trouble finding teacher candidates, given the bad reputation of their school at that time. Damien then got acquainted with a math teacher named Agatha, who was assigned by the principal to take him to his classroom, as well as take Damien around. When Damien was taken around, he met one of the students named Jarek, who was known as the leader of the school gang. He also met the sports teacher and the head of school security named Leszek Zamoyski. Arriving in class, Damien was introduced to the students who looked very chaotic. In the corner of the room sat a former student who became a drug dealer. He tried to disturb the whole class by threatening Agatha, but because they were in class, the dealer left to continue his work. Damien, who had been watching all the chaos, could only remain silent, but he tried to observe the situation. After teaching hours, Agatha was confronted in the parking lot by students who wanted to harass her. Fortunately, Damien arrived shortly after, and immediately saved Agatha. After being beaten and made afraid by Damien, the student was taken to the Jarek gang's place to be punished, because he had failed to catch Agatha. Suddenly, Leszek came and immediately ordered them all to immediately finish off the hustler student. The next day, without Damien realizing it, he had become a celebrity teacher at his school, because the action of protecting Agatha yesterday was recorded by the parking lot CCTV. The teachers who saw it were amazed by Damien's fighting skills, while Leszek became suspicious of Damien's true identity. Arriving in class, it turned out that all male students challenged Damien to a fight. Damien, who saw their enthusiasm, considered this an opportunity to establish closeness with his students. Shortly thereafter, Damien was visited by Mako's son named Camille. Camille was angry because Damien was too late to act. If only at that time he helped his father, then Mako would not die and be made a scapegoat by the drug syndicate. Damien explained that at that time he was still trying to make peace with his situation. He also didn't know that Mako would still act alone even though he didn't help him. Camille was just silent to hear Damien's answer. After school ended, Agatha took Damien to the bar to thank him for saving her at that time. Agatha then told him the real state of their school. It turns out that students in Damian's class were bullied by the Jarrett gang, but because the teachers were helpless, they were forced to choose silence. Knowing that, Damian became aware of what steps he should take next. They spent the night warmly, and after that night the relationship between Damian and Agatha began to get closer. They even almost had sex, but because Damian still remembered his wife, he stopped in the middle of the road and decided to leave the place. As a result of his actions last night, the relationship between Damian and Agatha at school became stiff. During class time, Damian told his students that he really wanted to help them fight the bullying carried out by the Jarrett gang. In a way, he would teach them how to fight. Damian then took them to a disused school warehouse and started training them. Day after day they went through training very hard, in order to become like Damian. In addition, Damian also did not neglect his mission to find who was behind the Mako murder. In his action as a spy, he managed to find out one of the drug storage facilities that was completed, so he quickly reported it to the police so that the place was immediately confiscated. One day, after they finished training, the students said goodbye to go home while Damian decided to stay to train longer. Suddenly, in the corner of a dark room, masked men appeared who wanted to kill him, but with his martial arts skills, Damian was able to defeat them all. On the other hand, one of Damian's female students is threatened by Jarek to do something according to his orders. If not, then Jarek will finish off her father like they finished off their previous history teacher. Knowing that her father's life is at stake, the schoolgirl is forced to follow Jarek's will. It turned out that Jarek's plan was to slander Damian for abusing the student, and sure enough, Jarek's plan succeeded so that Damian was fired from school. Curious who did that, Damian went to the student's house and asked directly who slandered him. Fortunately, she was cooperative and revealed everything. She also really didn't want to slander Damian, but because she was threatened with death, she was forced to do it. Damian then continued the investigation to the hospital where the student drug dealer was treated who he had previously beaten up. There he revealed that drugs were not circulated from outside the school but were made and circulated from the school itself. Hearing this, Damian finally understood why the school laboratory could not be entered by just any teacher. Damian then went to Agatha's house to get the school key so he could sneak inside the school. Inside the school, Damian found strange activities going on at night. It turned out that his suspicions had been correct, that some of the teachers at the school were working together to make drugs. Quickly, Damian took photos so that they could be used as evidence, but when he was going out he was suddenly blocked by security at the place. However, with his skills, Damian was able to defeat them. After getting out, he intends to follow where the drug delivery car goes, and it turns out that the car goes to the dock, delivers drugs via ship, and is known to be circulating it around the world. The next day, Damian comes to see the principal to explain what really happened at their school, but instead of believing Damian's explanation, the principal is more in favor of the defense presented by the science teacher and the sports teacher. Leszek explained that all the evidence obtained by Damian proved to be fabricated, because last night all the officers were off and the whole school was empty. Damian was the one who could be prosecuted for defaming the teachers at school, because in their view the case about drugs had been completed since Mako was arrested. Agatha, who saw the suspicious behavior of her fellow teachers, decided to investigate the truth alone. She went to the house of the student who accused Damian of harassing her. There the student explained that she was threatened by the Jarrett gang to frame Damian to be fired from school. After that, Agatha went to see Damian, who looked stressed, because everyone cornered him. Knowing that Agatha already understood that their school turned out to be a drug den, Damian decided to reveal his identity to Agatha. He also apologized for leaving Agatha at that time without returning her love, because he was still imagining his wife's death. Soon Agatha and Damian went to interrogate their science teacher, who had been working as a drug dealer, but suddenly, at school, the student who claimed to have been harassed by Damian came to the principal to explain all the truth, which turned out to be based on the threat of the Jarrett gang, who wanted Damian to be expelled from school. On the other hand, Agatha, who checked Mako's locker, accidentally found important information that he had left behind. Meanwhile, Damian met with his students in the school hall, where his students told him that the student who had accused Damian earlier was now being hospitalized because she was beaten. After visiting the student, Agatha then told Damian what she found in Mako's locker, which turned out to be the hiding place or main headquarters of the drug kingpin at school. Seeing that, Damien decided to infiltrate the place that night, but when they found the evidence, suddenly the sports teacher appeared with Jarek's gang to finish them both off, and even more surprisingly it turned out that the brain of all this was the principal. Damien could not do anything because he was worried about Agatha's safety. Fortunately, from the corner of the room appeared some of his students whom he had previously trained, and there was a fierce battle between the Jarek gang and Damien's students. While Damien went after the sports teacher who was running away, it turned out that Leszek just wanted to fight one-on-one with Damien in a quiet place, because he himself was curious about Damien's prowess. On the other hand, Leszek was actually a former retired soldier. After defeating the sports teacher, Camille came to ask Damien to save Agatha, because she was held hostage by the principal. They also devised a plan so that they could save Agatha. After meeting with the principal who was holding Agatha hostage, Damien, without spending much effort, managed to save Agatha. He then tried to pry information from the principal. Why make drugs and spread them? But the principal was silent and pointed his gun at Damien. Fortunately, Camille moved quickly by dropping the bottle from the truck. Long story short, the principal was finally arrested and the teachers involved were secured by the police. The movie closes with Damien's pride for successfully solving his case. Also, finally he managed to forget his past trauma. What do you think of this movie? Please write your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, and support our channel by subscribing, so that we stay motivated to create more interesting content for you to enjoy. And until next time.